So students, in this lecture we are going to study the further part. So yesterday I had told you about the half closed scenario, then common scenario. So this diagram is going to illustrate the timeline diagram for common scenario. This is a diagram for common scenario, the timeline diagram. Okay, is it clear? You can see client. You can see here the client, the server, okay, transport layer at client and server. Then you can see sync, SYN plus ACK data transfer, FIN, then ACK acknowledgement is here, then again data transfer, etc. Okay, next we'll see about windows in TCP. Okay, there are two windows that are used in TCP. One is known as send window and another is known as receive window. The two for each direction of data transfer means four windows for a bidirectional communication. So whatever is a communication, it is only unidirectional from client to server. The bidirectional communication can be inferred using two unidirectional communications with piggybacking. Next we'll see about send window. The window size is 100 bytes. The send window is dictated by the receiver, that is flow control, and the congestion in the underlying network, that is congestion control. So this figure shows how a send window opens, closes or shrinks. Okay, this is a diagram of send window. You can see first outstanding byte, then next byte to send, then you can see timer here, then bytes that are acknowledged which can be purged from buffer, outstanding bytes sent but not acknowledged, bytes that can be sent, usable window, bytes that cannot be sent until the write edge moves to the right. Send window size, you can see the send window size which is advertised by the receiver. This is the send window size, you can see, which has been written here, send window size which is advertised by the receiver, send window. Then in send window in TCP, it is similar to the one which that has been used with the selective repeat protocol, but there are certain differences. So it is similar to that of selective repeat to send window protocol, but there are some difference. Now we'll see what are those differences. The first difference is nature of the entities related to the window is one difference. Window size in SR is the number of packets, but window size in TCP is the number of bytes. Actual transmission in TCP although occurs segment by segment, variables that control the window are expressed in bytes. 2. TCP can store data received from the process and send them later, but we assume that sending TCP is capable of sending segments of data as soon as it receives them from its process. 3. Number of timers is another difference. The theoretical selective repeat protocol may use several timers for each packet sent. TCP protocol uses only one timer. Then this diagram is going to show opening, closing and shrinking send window. So you can see here, this is the left wall, this is the right wall, then here you can see closes, here you can see opens, here you can see shrinks, then you can see opening, closing, shrinking. Okay, window, you can see that. Is it clear? Next we'll see about receive window. Receive window. Okay, receive window. Window size here also is 100 bytes. In here also in receive window size is 100 bytes. So this figure shows the receive window opens and closes. So only opens and closes. Okay, the window should never shrink. There is one important thing to remember, that the window should never shrink. Then there are two differences between the receive window in TCP and what we have discussed for selective repeat protocol. We'll see the first difference. TCP allows the receiving process to pull data at its own pace, meaning that part of the allocated buffer at the receiver may be occupied by bytes that have been received and acknowledged and are waiting to be pulled by the receiving process. Receive window size is then always smaller than or equal to the buffer size which has been shown. You can see. Just a minute. You can see the size of the receive window is receive window and allocated buffer. Okay, allocated buffer and are waiting to be pulled. Receive window size is then always smaller than or equal to the buffer size. So it may be always smaller or equal to the buffer size shown. You can see receive window and you can see here receive window and allocated buffer, it may be smaller or equal to the buffer size as shown. The receive window size finds the number of bytes that the receive window can accept from the sender before being overlapped. That is flow control. Receive window size, normally called RWND, is determined as RWND is equal to buffer size minus number of waiting bytes to be pulled. So RWND is buffer size minus number of waiting bytes to be pulled. The second difference is the way acknowledgements are used in TCP protocol. An acknowledgement in SR is selective, that defines the uncorrupted packets that have been received. Major acknowledgement mechanism in TCP is cumulative acknowledgement, announcing the next expected byte to receive. Okay, both cumulative and selective acknowledgements are used by new version of TCP. Now we'll discuss about flow control. So this diagram you see before going to next. This is the receive window. You can see allocated buffer. The size may be smaller or equal to. Next byte to be pulled by the process. Next byte expected to be received. Then bytes that have already been pulled by the process. Then you can see bytes that cannot be received from sender. Okay. Then this is opening of receive window. This is closing of receive window. So opening and closing of receive window. This is left wall. This is right wall. Okay. Right wall. You can see that. Next we'll discuss about flow control. Flow control. So whatever is a flow control, it balances the rate a producer creates data with the rate a consumer can use the data. Flow control from error control is separated by TCP. So TCP separates flow control from error control. Logical channel between the sending and receiving TCP is error free. So this figure is going to show the unidirectional data transfer between a sender and receiver. So this is the sender and this is the receiver, and it is unidirectional data transfer between a sender and a receiver. Okay. Bidirectional data transfer can be deduced from unidirectional process. Data that is traveling from the sending process down to the sending TCP. So you can see it is that message is pushed from sending process to sending TCP, from the sending TCP to the receiving TCP here, and from the receiving TCP to the receiving process. So you can see paths 1 here, then you can see paths 2 and path 3. Paths 1, 2 and 3. Okay. Okay. Then flow control feedbacks are traveling from the receiving TCP to the sending TCP. You can see the flow control feedbacks are traveling from receiving TCP to sending TCP and from sending TCP to the sending process. You can see flow control feedback path from receiving TCP to sending TCP, and from sending TCP to sending process, paths 4 and path 5. Okay, then TCP do not provide flow control feedback from the receiving process to the receiving TCP by most implementation. They let the receiving process pull data from the receiving TCP whenever it is ready to do so. The receiving TCP controls the sending TCP controls the sending process. Flow control feedback from sending TCP to sending process, this path 5, okay, is achieved through simple rejection of data by sending TCP when its window is full. Next we'll discuss about opening and closing windows. TCP forces the sender and receiver to adjust their window sizes to achieve flow control. And when the connection is established, the size of the buffer for both the parties is fixed. When more bytes arrive from the sender, the receive window closes. It opens when more bytes are pulled by the process. It does not shrink is assumed. The opening, closing and shrinking of the send window is controlled by the receiver. Then the send window closes when a new acknowledgement allows it to do so. The send windows open when the receive window size RWND advertised by the receiver allows it to do so. That is new acknowledgement number plus new new acknowledgement number plus new RWND should be greater than last acknowledgement number plus last RWND. Send window shrinks in the event this situation does not occur. Next we'll see a scenario. Okay, a scenario. How the send and receive windows are set during the connection establishment phase and how their situations will change during data transfer. Okay, then error control, assuming that no segment is corrupted, lost, duplicated or has arrived out of order. Only two windows are for unidirectional data transfer that are shown. Client defines server window size of 2000 in the third segment. Okay, the window is not shown because the communication is only unidirectional, and whatever is it is unidirectional data transfer. Then 8 segments are exchanged between the client and server. The first segment is from the client to the server, a SYN segment, to request connection. The client announces its initial sequence number equal to 100. When the segment arrives at the server, it allocates a buffer size of 800, an assumption, and sends its window to cover the whole buffer with RWND equal to 800. There is one thing to note. What is that? Is number of next byte to arrive is 101. This is first segment. Second segment is from the server to the client. This is an ACK plus SYN segment. The segment uses ACK number equal to 101 to show that it expects to receive bytes starting from 101. It also announces that the client can set a buffer size of 800 bytes. The third segment is the ACK segment. Okay, ACK segment from the client to the server. Note that the client has defined a RWND of size 2000, but this value will not be used in the figure as the communication is only in one direction. Fourth is, after the client has set its window with the size 800 dictated by the server, the process will push 200 bytes of data. Then the TCP client numbers these bytes 101 to 300. Then it creates a segment and it sends it to the server. So this segment shows the starting byte number as 101 and the segment carries 200 bytes. So whatever is the window of the client is then adjusted to show that 200 bytes of data are sent but waiting for acknowledgement. Then when the segment is received at the server, the bytes are stored and the receive window closes to show that the next byte expected is byte 301. The stored bytes occupy 200 bytes of buffer. The fifth segment is the feedback from the server to the client. The server acknowledges bytes up to and including 300. The segment also carries the size of the receive window after decrease 600. After decrease 600. The client, after receiving this segment, purges the acknowledged bytes from its window and closes its window to show that next byte to send is byte 301. The window size, however, now decreases to 600 bytes. Although the allocated buffer can store 800 bytes, the window cannot open because the receiver does not let it. The sixth one is segment 6 is sent by the client. Segment 6 is sent by the client after it process pushes 300 more bytes. The segment defines sequence number as 301 and contains 300 bytes. When this segment arrives at the server stores them, but it has to reduce its window size. After its process has pulled 100 bytes of data, the window closes from the left for the amount of 300 bytes, but opens from the right for the amount of 100 bytes. The result is that the size is only reduced to 100 bytes. The receiver window size is now 400 bytes. Seventh is in segment 7, the server acknowledges the receipt of data and announces that its window size is 400. Window size is 400. When the segment arrives at the client has no choice but to reduce its window again and set the window size to the value of RWND equal to 400 advertised by the server. The send window closes from the left by 300 bytes and opens from the right by 100 bytes. The last 8 segment is segment 8 is also from the server after its process has pulled another 200 bytes. Its window size increases. The new RWND value is now 600. The segment informs the client that the server still expects byte 601, but the server window size has expanded to 600. So there is a need to mention that sending of these segments depends on the policy imposed by the implementation. Some implementations may not allow advertisement of the RWND at this time. The server then needs to receive some data before doing so. Then once this segment arrives at the client, after this arrival the client opens its window by 200 bytes without closing it. The result is that window size increases to 600 bytes. Next we'll see about shrinking of windows. Shrinking of windows. The receive window cannot shrink. We have seen it. The send window on the other hand can shrink if the receiver defines a value for RWND that results in shrinking the window. Shrinking of the send window is not allowed by some implementation. The limitation does not allow the right wall of the send window to move to the left. Receiver needs to keep the following relationship between the last and new acknowledgement and the last and new RWND values to prevent shrinking of the send window. So, new acknowledgement number plus new RWND should be greater than or equal to last acknowledgement number plus last RWND. Left side of the inequality represents the new position of the right wall with respect to sequence number. Right side shows the old position of right wall. Right wall should not move to the left is the relation that is shown. Inequality is a mandate for the receiver to check its advertisement. Inequality is valid only if SF is less than SN. Then all calculations made are in modulo 2 raised to 32. Okay. Next we'll see about window shutdown. Okay. Shrinking the send window by moving its right wall to the left is strongly discouraged. There is no exception, however. Receiver can temporarily shut down the window by sending a RWND of 0. The reason is that the receiver does not want to receive any data from the send for a while. The sender does not actually shrink the size of the window but stops sending data until a new advertisement has arrived. The sender can always send a segment with 1 byte of data even when the window is shut down by an order from the receiver called as probing and is used to prevent a deadlock. Next we'll see about silly window syndrome. There is one serious problem that can take place in the sliding window operation is when either the sending application program creates data slowly or the receiving application program consumes data slowly or both. Okay, then what results is the sending of data in very small segment will reduce the efficiency of the operation. Then if TCP sends segments containing only 1 byte of data, it means that a 41 byte datagram transfers only 1 byte of user data. The overhead is 41 bar 1, indicating that we are using the capacity of network very inefficiently, and becomes even worse after accounting for the data link layer and physical layer overhead. So this problem is called silly window syndrome. Silly window syndrome. Okay. Next we'll see about syndrome created by the sender. The sending TCP may create a silly window syndrome if it is serving an application program that creates data slowly. For example, 1 byte at a time. The application program writes 1 byte at a time into the buffer of the sending TCP. If the sending TCP does not have any specific instruction, then it may create segments containing 1 byte of data. The result is a lot of 41 byte segments that are traveling through an internet. Then what is the solution for this? Is to prevent the sending TCP from sending the data byte by byte. The sending TCP must be allowed or must be told to wait and collect data to send in a larger block. Then how long should the sending TCP wait? Is it clear? Then if it is going to wait too long, then it may delay the process. So it does not wait long enough. It may end up sending small segments. Then Nagle found an elegant solution, so called Nagle's algorithm is, and it is simple. We'll see what the first one. The sending TCP sends the first piece of data it receives from the sending application program, even if it is only 1 byte. Second, after sending the first segment, the sending TCP accumulates data in the output buffer and waits until either the receiving TCP sends an acknowledgement or until enough data have accumulated to fill a maximum size segment. So at this time the sending TCP can send the segment. Third, step 2 is repeated for the rest of the transmission. Segment 3 is sent immediately if an acknowledgement is received for segment 2 or if enough data have accumulated to fill a maximum size segment. So whatever is this Nagle's algorithm is that it is simplicity and it takes into account the speed of the application program that is going to create the data and speed of the network that transport the data. If the application program is faster than the network, the segments are larger. If the application program is slower than the network, the segments are smaller. So less than the maximum segment size. So is it clear?